Hi everybody, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and today we are looking at a new moon, and technically it occurs on November the 15th at 12:07 a.m., but for many people in other parts of the world it's occurring on the 14th. So I feel like this is the new moon today, even though it's just past midnight. I am in the Eastern time zone. Can definitely feel the energy, and the transits that the moon is making and the aspects to the planets, pretty much what you have at midnight is what you have during the course of the day, and we're feeling the buildup of that new moon energy. Tomorrow when I write my forecast, I'll be saying it's the new moon too, because it is. Basically the whole weekend we have new moon energy in place. However, the difference tomorrow is that here in Eastern time zone, we're going to have the moon coming out of a late degree of Scorpio and entering into Sagittarius, and it will feel distinctly different at lunchtime tomorrow when we move out of the Scorpio new moon into Sagittarius energy. So I feel like we're kind of blurring our time there about the new moon as to whether it's the 14th or the 15th, depending on where you are in the world. It is the 14th, and other parts of the world, it'll be in the very wee hours of the 15th. So let's take a look at what I've written for this new moon in Scorpio. Saturday, November 14th, directs your attention toward your own inner strength and manifesting abilities, as the moon conjunct the sun in magnetic Scorpio forms a flowing trine aspect to Neptune in mystical Pisces, and a potent destiny-determining Yod aspect pattern involving the North Node in imaginative Gemini and Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in success-oriented Capricorn. Just as a questing hero has to battle monsters or overcome obstacles on their journey before reaching their destination, you will have to contend with some challenging planetary transits as you walk your own path. Venus in relationship-minded Libra square to critical Saturn in Capricorn presents the dream-killing trap of comparing yourself to others. Neptune square to the North Node finds you doubting your calling or questioning your own intuitive guidance or spiritual beliefs. And finally, mental Mercury in all or nothing Scorpio opposing change-making Uranus in materially minded Taurus triggers anxiety and fear as you contemplate the risk to loss potential of taking a chance, doing something you have never done before, or going all in on a life-changing decision. When you know what you cannot live without, you will do whatever you can to have it. At this deeply emotional moon, focus on feeling how you want to feel, and the material world of people, objects, and circumstances will align with and reflect those feelings. Remember times of joy, love, bliss, and gratitude to help you power up. So let's take a look at what we've got going on in the sky over here at planetwatcher.com. And here we have the exact moment, Eastern time, of that new moon, when the moon and the sun are conjunct in Scorpio. And here you can see the Yod, the sextile to Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn in Capricorn, and the two quincunx aspects that the Scorpio and the Capricorn planets are forming with the North Node in Gemini. And this mutable dual energy of this air sign, which is very much about imagination, formative ideas, your community, the people you treat as brothers and sisters, your own brothers and sisters. There's a lot of deciding going on, or determining where your loyalties are, who you align with, what path you're going to take, what is most important to you. And, you know, a lot of the things that we receive in life and the reputation and our success is determined a great deal by how we treat other people casually, people who we might not know deeply or intimately. So behavior is really important. Integrity is really important. How you treat your fellow brothers and sisters out there in the world is very important. And certainly while we are under this Scorpio new moon influence, integrity, trust, those are values that are important to Scorpio. And those are values that are going to be very important to you in terms of your manifesting ability that is flowing through this trine aspect to Neptune and Pisces. There's also a lot of imagination around Neptune and Pisces, and we find that this is where that square sits here to the North Node. You have to be able to determine whether you are placing a lot of your energy on something that will just absolutely never happen, or are you running away from the work of making your dream a reality? Because there is work involved with this Capricorn energy. You can't just believe in something, you have to put in the effort toward getting there. So whether you fail or win, or whether you're all the affirmations in the world are not going to make something happen, in other words. But your lack of faith can also undermine you, or your doubt can definitely keep your manifestation from coming into a reality. So when you do your work, do it with the quiet assurance that you know that you're going through the steps that are going to lead to you achieving your goals. So do the work, follow through. The fixed energy of Scorpio is very good at persistence. We've got a big shift with Mars coming out of retrograde now and moving forward in Aries. It's going to start behaving better. For quite a while now, it's been retrograding in Aries, and that brings out its shadow side, and it also makes it more challenging for you to use Mars in a proactive, dynamic way. It's been much more reactive and kind of ornery, and kind of, conveys some of the energy of being an asshole or being totally arrogant or selfish. And as it moves forward, it's looking out there in a future oriented way, and is going to be more of the dynamic leader or way shower, or somebody who is getting down to the business of doing things rather than the business of complaining or bemoaning fate or whatever, or simply reacting in a negative way. Now there's much more positive forward motion with Mars in Aries. So hopefully as you move forward with a new moon, which is always good for beginning new things, with Mars in its forward motion, you're going to be able to see your dreams come to a reality a lot faster. And we do have this minor sextile, but it's still supportive to that North Node. The other opposition, which is still a tough one to handle for everybody, because it sits on the trust axis that Taurus and Scorpio represent. And Taurus and Scorpio have rulership over the 8th house of shared assets and resources, and the 2nd house of personal finances and personal values. We have some distrust potentially going on with that opposition, whether it's distrust in relationships or distrust in society as a whole, or in the government or in the media, or whatever you're not quite believing. The one thing I can say for sure is change is happening whether you like it or not. Time moves on, things change, and you can either adapt and adjust and get over stuff and accept that things are what they are, and then get busy working with what you have, or you can stay in some rather uncomfortable resistance, but it's not necessarily going to change the reality of change itself. So we do have a quincunx here to Chiron in Aries, showing that the healing process is already in place that enables you to adjust and adapt to changes. If you do need help in going through uncertain times in your life, and if you are suffering from anxiety or depression or anything else that you feel is hindering you from being able to make decisions in your life or move forward, then I definitely advise that you get some help in terms of mental health. Pay attention Pay attention to your day-to-day life and look to see if you are able to be functional and coping. And if you feel like you're coming up short in any area, then get the help that you need. Ask. There's never any shame in asking, and there's never any shame in seeking help. Scorpio energy can sometimes be rather secretive or repressed, or wants to be extremely self-sufficient, and can sometimes be afraid to let other people in. But it's really up to you with Chiron and Aries to recognize when you do need to ask for help and to let other people in to help you. And this quincunx to Mercury, the planet of speech, communication, thoughts, can definitely help you in finding help. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol for this new moon. And we round up from 23 degrees 18 minutes to 24 degrees. After having heard an inspired individual deliver his Sermon on the Mount, crowds are returning home. The need to incorporate inspiring experiences and teachings into everyday living. Today we hear a great deal about peak experiences, Maslow, and keep in mind this was written quite a while ago, so this may not be current to our present day, but some things never do really change. The great problem facing everyone who has had such experiences is how to assimilate what has been felt, seen, or heard, and how to let it transform his everyday consciousness and behavior. So anybody who's ever gone off for a weekend, with Tony Robbins and went and walked on coals or climbed to the top of a telephone pole still has to come home and get back to normal routine and normal life. And we've all had, I'm sure at some time in our life, a peak experience, and then holding on to that memory of that experience and utilizing that higher energy is the challenge in what comes out of that peak. If this is not done, the experience may turn confusing or toxic and perhaps destructive of the integrity of the person. So that is an interesting thought, that it's kind of like what I was saying about how all the affirmations in the world are not going to make a difference. If you don't do the work of something, you still have to follow through. The fourth symbol, as usual, suggests to us what has to be done or how to do it. The return home from the high mountain or from any upper chamber of the consciousness may lead to a sense of oppression by the normal realities of existence, or else the soul that has been illuminated may retain enough of that light to transfigure every daily situation. This is the great challenge to transformation. I can imagine that after somebody goes through Satori enlightenment, that perhaps they feel as though they don't want to be here in this present reality anymore. But I would consider that if you've achieved such a level of mastery in life on a spiritual level, then you may even have an obligation to other people to hold that vibratory position for others so that they can you can raise their vibration through your being among the normal people who have not yet achieved that level of enlightenment. So that alone should be a good reason for wanting to retain your light and to be somebody who is powerful enough in the light to transfigure daily situations and other people. I think there's probably a great deal of sacredness that is bestowed upon people who enter into an enlightened experience in their lives, that they're not meant to hide their light. They're meant to bring it out and share it with other people and raise the vibration around them. So this is the great challenge to transformation. In a way, it's also be careful what you seek. If you want to be more and to have more in your life, are you willing to live a life of somebody who has more or has become more? So that might be an interesting meditation as well as you're at this new moon in Scorpio, where we do deal with a lot of eighth house issues, and they involve things like sex, death, taxes, metaphysics, the occult, business partnerships, investments, inheritances, the use of other people's money, how we share our values with other people. We merge our boundaries and we share our assets when we're looking at Scorpio and 8th house. And this is where the new moon is placing your attention. It definitely brings it up to a higher level on the spiritual level because of the boundary dissolving energy of Pisces. And then as we go up to the Capricorn energy, this is very much the material world and things like integrity, reputation, success, how we're viewed as an authority figure, how we are going to give the best of what we are and what we know out there to the world in a constructive way. And everything does distill down here into that North Node. And the North Node is very active with Mars. It's active with Venus and Libra. And Venus in Libra does point toward our relationship with other people in society and one-on-one, both in our daily lives and our romantic lives. So a lot of stuff comes up right now at this new moon, and you do have the opportunity to dive deeper and go up higher and to perhaps change your path in life or somehow affect the fate or destiny of somebody else in a positive way. So be mindful of your words, be mindful of your actions, and until we talk again at the end of November when we're looking at a full moon coming about at the end of the month, stay safe and stay healthy.